On today's Ask Zach, I'm going to talk about how I played 3 outdoor shows, hot, humid, crazy ones, out with Brad Paisley, and then did 2 sessions all on the same guitar with the same set of strings, these D'Addario XS coated strings. Well, hello friends, and welcome to Ask Zach. Today I'm going to tell the tale of how I played a couple of shows with Brad Paisley down in Florida and Georgia, outdoor shows that were hot and humid, and how I ended up giving these D'Addario XS strings a try, and how they ended up saving my butt. Also, just about the lightning that was striking around the show that we did on one of the Florida shows, and I ended up kind of having to fill in for a bit while Brad's guitar rig was down. So fun stuff. All right, guys, first off, a pause for the cause. I need to thank everyone that supported the channel in any way. I need to thank my Patreon members. I need to thank everyone that's bought a t-shirt or a coffee mug or put money in the tip jar. Just a side note, Spring, that does the merch for a lot of YouTubers, has had horrible delays, and I'm definitely switching to a different merch company. So if you've had problems with them, I apologize. If you need to ask for a refund, go ahead and do it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. They've done a terrible job. Spring is awful. All right. So now let's move on. So I don't play with Brad Paisley full time at all. He will ask me at times to come sit in, with the band. And yeah, if I'm available, of course, I'm going to jump at the chance to do it. So I've done some recording sessions with him and some TV things and what have you. And so this was about 2 weeks ago. It was on a Monday. He asked me if I wanted to go play with him down in Georgia and Florida, a couple outdoor, shows. It was like Monday, not a Monday. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he asked me if I wanted to do that. And so, of course, I checked with my wife and made sure I didn't have anything, crazy going on, and I didn't, so I decided to go. So with that, I have to decide what I'm going to take and everything, and so I wanted to take this guitar because, this is one that Brad, had a big hand in me getting, and I love the guitar, and he really likes it when I play it. So I knew I was going to take this guitar. But I also realized that, of course, when I'm out there with Brad, the techs are amazing and they're really kind, but I'm a guest. And so I try not to be any kind of burden on them, and, which would include like changing strings and stuff like that. And so I do as much as I can as far as setting up my own gear and taking care of myself as much as possible, because they have a full load. They have all this work that they need to do. And so I try not to be any kind of burden on them. So I had Andy at D'Addario, he had given me a couple sets of these to try out. And I put, I had very mixed emotions, because coated strings, of course, I think we started seeing them, like 15, 20 years ago. And the first ones that came out were pretty awful. I mean, it felt like you were wearing a raincoat. They were pretty awful. And through the years, they have gotten better. But I hadn't really tried coated strings in a long time. So I took one of the sets and I put it on my 67 Telly here. So this is my, let's not break anything. This is my first, vintage guitar. It's a late 67 Telly. You can see the black logo, and it's got F tuners and such. And this is a great guitar, but I don't really take it out a whole lot anymore, because it's got a lot of sentimental value and such. And so it doesn't really hit the road that often anymore. So, but I put the set of strings on there, and the first thing I noticed was, well, they're a little slicker than normal strings. And so I just kind of, put the guitar down and, would pick it up every once in a while and would kind of come back with the same kind of thoughts. It's like, they're a little bit slick. But with these shows that we were playing down in, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and then Florida, being outdoor shows and having the heat and humidity going on in August, I really felt like the coated strings would be helpful just as far as longevity of the strings and me not having to change the strings while we were out there. So I put them on there, and again, I thought, well, they feel a little slick. But then once we got out there, and you don't think about this, but when you go out and you're playing outdoor shows and it's hot and humid, all of a sudden it feels like you've got like some kind of sluggish crap on your strings, and it feels like everything's slowed down. So the strings having the light coating on there, which again, they're really light coating, was really helpful, and they felt great. And I got used to the slightly more slicker feel very quickly, and it wasn't a problem at all. So they ended up being fantastic and the perfect string to have on this guitar, especially for playing in the summertime down in Florida. So Friday night we played in Savannah, Georgia. Then Saturday night we played in St. Augustine, Florida. And that show was really interesting. So there started being weather coming in, and they're meteorologists and all that jazz. We were getting reports, and all of a sudden this stuff started blowing in, and I was starting to think, is the show going to get canceled? But I mean, it was a sellout crowd, as the night before had been, and they were great, and no one said anything, so we started the show. And so we were about 2 or 3 songs in, and we got to one of Brad's big hits. Is called Old Alabama, which is a song that he did kind of as a tribute to the group Alabama, and Alabama performs on it. They sing in the second half of the tune. So we start the song, and all of a sudden Brad's guitar rig goes down. Now my rig's still going. So Brad's manager, who also plays keyboards in the band, he has, sorry for using this word, but he has what's called the bitch mic. And what it is, it's a microphone that, besides his background vocal mic, that he can speak into, and only Brad and the band hear it. And so he immediately got on the bitch mic and he said, "Play, Zach. Zach, play." And so, which meant play, the intro to Old Alabama, which I don't remember exactly what I played that Saturday night. I probably played something goofy, but what I should have played was something more like this. So I was, kind of up at the plate suddenly. But then after we had done probably an intro, the intro and a verse and a chorus, his guitar rig came back up. And so he was able to, of course, play his solo and everything else. And, and he was good for the rest of the night. But it was, the PA half of it ended up going down. So like one side of the PA wasn't working for a bit. Then it came back on. And it was really a crazy night, but I have to say a huge thanks to the audience. They were amazing, and they were so into it, and it was just a fantastic night. And the audience was so into it that no one was really thrown off by the technical difficulties, and everyone was in a great mood, and it was just a really great night. So night number 3, we played in Clearwater, Florida, which of course is on the the west coast, kind of on the Gulf side, and we played there. And again, it was another hot, sweaty night. And again, I was really glad to have these strings on the guitar, and they were still holding up fine. So I had a session the very next day, and so we were able to get back quickly, and but I wanted to use this guitar, And I thought, maybe I should change the strings, but I thought, no, I'm gonna see how they hold up. And so then I ended up playing a session with this guitar on Monday for a Christmas record. And then we ended up going back and doing another session for this same Christmas thing on Wednesday. And the strings just performed fantastic. They continued to feel really good. They sounded good. They were holding their tune. And in fact, they're still on. So, now we're another week in. And I just, big fan of these strings. Again, after kind of having that initial negative response. And a lot of it had to do with just past experiences with coated strings, because they were just, frankly, a lot of them were really awful. Everyone kind of came out with their own kind of coated string thing, and a lot of them just really felt bad. And I was put off for a second by, the slight slicker feel, but then I got used to it real fast. And they don't, I wouldn't say they really, they don't really change the feel a whole lot, and they might reduce finger noise a little bit. I don't think they're a whole lot quieter, but they just feel really good, and they just perform, and it's just so nice because it's like, I've had 3 outdoor shows, in Florida and Georgia, and 2 sessions on this guitar. And and I'm not ready to change the strings yet. They're still performing. So very happy with these XS strings. And so thank you to Andy for sending these. And of course, it's kind of on me for finally giving these strings a try after having such a kind of jaundiced negative view of coated strings. So all right, well, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Just kind of a quick aside, just so you know, these strings are a little bit more expensive than regular D'Addario strings, because these are the NYXL strings that then also have the coating. So these are a bit more expensive. So trying not to have sticker shock, but they last so much longer that I don't have a problem with it. So there you have it. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.